Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Celtic Warband here, and thanks for tuning in to another epic battle in Medieval Kingdoms 1212 AD. It has been quite some time since I've had a 1212 battle up on the channel, and a couple of you have been asking when I will return with some 1212 content, and it was almost perfect timing because Jean-Jacques Cagnier, I hope that's how I pronounce your name, but he actually submitted a replay to me from the new version of Medieval Kingdoms, and it worked out perfectly with you guys asking for a 12-12 battle, and then literally a day later he submitted one to me. So thank you very much, Ben, for submitting it, and I really hope you guys do enjoy. So without further ado, let's take a look at the army comps. The first army on the battlefield today is the Kingdom of Bohemia, commanded by Jean-Jacques Cagnier. So this is the guy who sent in the battle replay, so again, thank you very much for that. It's actually my first ever Medieval Kingdoms replay that has been submitted to me. So this is a very, very large battle, and you will be able to tell that from the size of the armies on either side. But looking in the front lines, Jean-Jacques, he's got 4 units of Pavis crossbowmen of the Hussite. And then right in behind, he has 4 units of Pavis spearmen of the late period. And intermingled between the Pavis spearmen, we've got the halberdiers of the late period, 3 units of them. So he's got a nice staggered line of these Pavis spearmen and the halberdiers, Pavis spearmen, halberdiers. So good protection for his Pavis crossbows. Right in behind is his most elite infantry, which is his macemen. He has 5 units of them. And here is the general over here moving forwards, the king's bodyguard of the late period. And we've got 4 units of Bohemian Knights of the late period as well. Very, very good heavy shock cavalry. And the rest of his troops are over on the flank here. He has 6 units of the Tier 1 Sergeants. So these guys are still heavy infantry, and it looks like they've got a couple of silver chevrons on them. So I suspect that this is quite a high-money battle. But he's got a good mix here of swords and macemen with some spears and some halberdiers as well. And, of course, good cavalry to protect the flanks. So that's about it for Jean-Jacques Cagnier's army. So let's go ahead and take a look at his ally. The second army on the battlefield today and fighting alongside the Kingdom of Bohemia is the Kingdom of Denmark, and this is commanded by Smokey. He's also got a pretty solid force and a very large force as well. He has about 8 units of early period Huscarls in the front lines. So it's a medium melee infantry tier 1, but sword and shield, so they should be able to hold their own in melee for a little bit. And then right behind that, he's got 4 units of longbowmen. So instead of crossbows, I know that the Hanseatic infantry is what I usually choose for Denmark, but I think he's going for more of the range, and these longbowmen do have a decent range. Right in behind that, he has 8 units of high period Huscarls, so he's saving his more elite infantry for after the mainline collision. And then he's got kind of a mix over here. He's got 4 units of the skilled spearmen, so 2 kind of moving forwards where the longbows are, and then he's also got 2 over on this side as well, so protecting the flank of his high period Huscarls. And then he's got like a secondary force down here, which consists of 4 units of spear Huscarls, which is much cheaper and a lower tier than the skilled spearmen. And then he's got about 6 units of the Axe Bondier, which is very, very cheap infantry. And then he's got his noble longswords here, which are really, really cool. 4 units of them. I think that's his most elite infantry. It's heavy pole arm infantry. And then he's gone for less cav than the Bohemian player. He's got 2 units of Ritter of the high period, caliber cavalry as the Bohemian cavalry. But he's got a tier 3 general, the King's Bodyguard. So that is it for Smokey's Denmark forces, so let's go ahead and take a look at the 2 enemies. The first enemy army on the battlefield today is the Kingdom of Hungary, commanded by Cassius Liberalis. And the Kingdom of Hungary, I'd have to say, is my favorite faction to choose when I defend in sieges. They're a very, very good defensive faction. They've got some of the best spears in the game. They've got really good swords to follow up. And they're just good at holding choke points. They've also got some really awesome crossbows as well. But looks like Cassius Liberalis has gone for a decently defensive army. He's got a lot of spears. He has 8 units of the Pavi Spearmen of the late period. These guys are really good. If you take a look at their stats here, the missile block is 80, but that's not including when they go into a stationary testudo, which I think gives them up to 105 for missile block. Maybe even higher than that. I can't really remember, but really, really solid for holding the line. So he's got 8 units of them, so he's definitely going to have a very solid front line. Right in behind that, he has 4 units of Pavi's crossbowmen of the late period. And just in behind that, he has swordsmen of the late period. And I think this is a new unit for the Kingdom of Hungary. Either that or they've been remodeled. These shields look really nice. I really like the modeling of that. I think that they did have high period swordsmen. Man, it's been a while since I played. I can't really remember. But it looks like Cassius Liberalis also has some Hungarian knights of the late period. So these guys are very, very solid. They should go toe-to-toe with the Bohemian knights. But the Hungarian player kind of has the same setup as the Denmark player in the fact that he has kind of all of his tier 3 and elite units in one main line or one block, and then over here he kind of has like a cheaper flank. So he's got some more spears here, 4 units of militia spearmen of the early period, and then he's got a couple of swordsmen, but these are early period and then high period swordsmen. So again, not like, still looking very cool though. But then he does have the rest of his Hungarian knights here to help hold this flank, and he's also got the King's Bodyguard as well. I believe that that would be that there. The general, or the king. That there. What am I trying to say? But I think that is it for the Hungarian forces, so let's go ahead and take a look at the last army. The final enemy army on the battlefield today, and fighting alongside the Kingdom of Hungary, is the Electorate of Trier, commanded by Anubis 14. And it's kind of nice to see that the Kingdom of Hungary and the Electorate of Trier have almost the same color scheme, so it just looks like one gigantic army. Looking at what Anubis 14 has brought, though, again, going for some really elite crossbows. He's got the Trier Pavis crossbowmen right in the front. Followed right behind, he has 10 units of the Trier Militia Swordsmen, so going more for a quantity build, at least for his front line. He does have some better infantry in behind, though. He's got some Electorate Sword Militia. I think he has 4 units of them. And then he's got some of the the Trier Pavis Spearmen. He's got his cavalry here. The Knights of Trier of the late period, so they're definitely going to cause some issues for Denmark, because Denmark only has 2 units of high period Ritter, and the Knights of Trier of the late period, not only does he have 3 units instead of the 2, but they're also tier 3. So it'll be interesting to see how Denmark deals with that. On the flank over here, he also has some Elector Pavitsiers, or Pavitsier, followed closely behind with some Elector Sword Infantry as well. And the general, way over here on this flank, is the Archbishop Elector of Trier. And it's the guy with the stick. There he is. So that is it for all the army comms, guys. So without further ado, let's get to the battle. Alright guys, welcome to the battlefield, and it looks like we've actually got Hungary moving forwards, the first player to actually make any movement on the battlefield, and I'm actually a little surprised at that, because Hungary has brought a very defensive army, a lot of spears. I think he has about 12 to 14 units of spears total, so I'm a little surprised to see him taking the aggressive approach, but I think because of his terrain disadvantage, with him starting much farther down the hill than Bohemia, he feels like he needs to press the attack to get onto a level ground. But actually, it looks like we're going to have the Hungarian Knights moving forwards right away. And yep, the Bohemian player does see this as well, so he is going to charge forwards with his Bohemian Knights. Nice charge there to get the battle started. So this battle actually starts pretty much right away. Looks like we've got a charge here from some Hungarian Knights over here as well, but yeah, unfortunately those Bohemian swords were in shield walls, so they are able to hold out against that charge. A couple of crossbowmen over here dying. It looks like they can't decide if they're going to shoot or not. They keep moving forwards and then backwards and then get cut down from behind. The battle will be just a little bit framey, guys. There's actually over 15,000 men on the battlefield here. It's a very, very large battle. But well done to Hungary over here. See, using those cheap spears to his advantage. He's actually got the militia spearmen in, hoping to turn the tide against the Bohemian Knights. However, the Bohemian player smartly also has some units of macemen that he's actually going to be sending into the mix. Hungary also has some early period swordsmen. Now, it looks like he does have a few units of spears over here holding back the early period sergeants. He's going to have to be careful not to get flanking shots from the Bohemian crossbows, though. Looking over here, the Denmark player is kind of content to sit where he is right now. The Electorate of Trier taking a massive, massive front line here. Almost like the bottom half of an octagon here. He's kind of got this interesting formation, trying to slowly box in the Denmark player. However, the Electorate of Trier does start at a bit of a terrain disadvantage as well.
Units have been discovered.
But the Bohemian Denmark alliance is actually not as strong, apparently, as the Trier and Hungarian alliance. Looks like the enemies are a little bit stronger as far as the balance of power goes. But here we go. This is very interesting. So it looks like we've got some of the Hungarian knights breaking here. The Hungarian player is well aware of that, though. He has some of his high period swordsmen here to plug that gap. But we've also got some of the militia spearmen breaking over here, or wavering. I think that's due to the fact that we've got the elite macemen in there. Yeah, you can see unit of 119 still fighting strong. And over here as well, this unit of Hungarian knights in the late period also taking quite a few casualties. We've also got the Bohemian knight unit that's been freed up in the center is now moving over to support this flank. However, it looks like all the units of Bohemian cavalry are only fighting one unit of spearmen, and he's got the Hungarian player here just has to be careful with his general not to charge him in too prematurely. Over here we've got some swordsmen of the early period from Hungary breaking, and we've got some of the halberdiers for Bohemia moving up. But Denmark and Trier still have not engaged, and I actually kind of prefer when it's like this, because we can kind of focus on what's going on one side of the battlefield and then take a look at what's going on the other side. Let's go ahead and just put this to slow motion here, because it's not a very long battle, and I do want to get some good, nice zoom-ins for you guys. Yes, you can see, it looks like we've got some Trier cavalry over here. Yeah, Elector Knights. So I guess the coordination between the two enemies was quite good. I guess the Hungarian player let the Electorate of Trier player know that he was losing the cavalry engagement and got some reinforcements over here. But the macemen are just going to be able to mow through a lot of these early period sword units that Hungary is pushing forwards. It'll be interesting to see once he pushes forwards his main line how well they do. But again, the Hungarian player brought a lot of spears, and Hungary, even in a land battle situation, they're quite good when they're played defensively, but they're very, very difficult to play offensively, in my opinion, at least. I'm a little shocked to see how quickly the Hungarian knights broke as well. That is not good for the Hungarian player, losing all of his cavalry very early on in the battle. I think these are all the Bohemian knights that are slowly pulling back. Yeah, most of them are quite healthy as well. So we've got two that are still engaged, one with 52, one with 46, and two of them have pulled out, and the bodyguard is out as well. Oh, actually, I think they're moving forwards over here, because well done by the Hungarian knights here, just plowing through this unit of sergeants. It's now hit this unit of sergeants here, and it's actually moving forwards to the unit of macemen that is not in shield wall here. That is a shame, because these macemen are quite expensive. So to lose them to a good charge like that, well, they're probably not going to die, but you guys know what I mean. Even losing 10 or 15 men in a unit is wasted manpower. But well done there, the Bohemian player. Really good battlefield awareness, noticing where the Hungarian knights are coming in. He kind of needs to firm up this line here, though. A lot of his units over here are kind of tied up, waiting to see what the Hungarian Pavy Spearmen are doing. But Hungary having to send more and more of their troops over here. You can see they've got a lot of their late period swordsmen being sent over to this line. Let's go ahead and put this on play once again. What's going on over here? Okay, so we've actually got an engagement here from the Kingdom of Denmark. Now, it looks like it's just their Axe Bondier, so I doubt that they're really going to be able to do too much. And unfortunately, he's not supporting it with his mainline infantry or his elite skilled spearmen, and he's just allowing the Trier militia swordsmen to actually flank completely around the Denmark lines like this. However, that will allow the Denmark player to use his longbowman to fire into the backs of these Trier swordsmen when they do flank around. However, to be honest, they're just Axeman Bondier, or Axe Bondier. I think that the Trier militia swordsmen should be able to best them anyways. We've got some cavalry engaging over here, the Knights of Trier engaging the Ritter. We've got some Spear Huskarls coming in to try and even the fight there. But we might have a really nice charge here by some of the Trier swordsmen. It's pretty framey. I do apologize for that, guys. Good charge, though. Really good charge. Let's pop that back onto slow motion. Yeah, look at these Spear Huskarls. Just annihilated on that charge. These Trier Knights are definitely heavy hitters. I think that was a full unit of 120 that just slaughtered 60 men on that charge, so well done there. And the Trier player also bringing some of his Elector Pavisiers in to help and destroy these Ritter, but the Ritter are already shaken. And look at this, just an all-out rout from this battle line that Denmark had formed up here. However, it's mostly his cheaper infantry, and I do have to say the militia swordsmen did take a fair few casualties on each one of their units. However, I'm kind of looking back here at some of the repositioning going on, and I think that the Trier and Hungarian player realized that even though they keep sending reinforcements over to this flank, they're inevitably losing up here, which is kind of surprising. The Bohemian player playing quite well, holding back some units from both the Electorate and from Hungary. Eventually, he will run out of men to send to the front line, though. Let's see these Bohemian halberdiers fighting the spears. And see, this is really too bad. Again, the Hungarian player using these Pavy spearmen very aggressively. They're not in stationary testudo, or they're not even in spear wall. And this is going to allow these halberdiers to really do some damage to them. And these spears are not cheap. I think that they're quite pricey. Ooh, a couple of the halberdiers being cut down there, though. Now, what's going on with the rest of the spears here? Yeah, so one of these spears is fighting a unit of sergeants, but it's just cheap tier 1 infantry. Over here as well, we've got the Pavy spearmen fighting the Pavy spearmen. Both of them are not in spear wall, so that's probably a pretty even fight, I would say. This is a problem, though, so well done here. You can see how the Pavy spearmen, I think that they were in stationary testudo, and the halberdiers just weren't able to break them in time. Either that, or they were focused down by the Hungarian Pavy's crossbowmen here. Now, it looks like Denmark has actually formed a fallback line here, which is very interesting to see. So he's kind of allowed his men to basically be slaughtered down here by Trier, but I think that's given him more time to fire down with his longbows. And by the time the units of Trier are making it up to the more elite Huskarls and the skilled spearmen, you can see here that they're shaken, they're already winded, so that's going to play into their favor as well. Meanwhile, all these Huskarls are fresh because they have not been engaged as of yet. However, it looks like we've got some of the noble longswords over here. They should be able to destroy these Trier militia swordsmen. Now, surprisingly, the Ritter are hanging on for dear life over here, even fighting the Elector Pavisier, or the Pavisiers. With the help of the Spear Huskarls of the early period, they're really kind of buying time for the Denmark player over here to, form up his forces. Now, okay, yeah, so it looks like we've got both the King's Bodyguard of Hungary and the King's Bodyguard of Bohemia in the fight. That's a little bit risky. I understand why both of them feel the need to get their generals involved, though, because both of them have kind of lost a lot of their cavalry at this point. They're going to have to be very careful with pulling their generals out of melee, though. Well done here by the Hungarian player, getting a huge side charge into all of this infantry. That was a very good charge. And yeah, now he's going to try and countercharge the Bohemian general that's coming in from behind. We've also got some more of the Hungarian knights coming in to get a good charge. But this unit of early period swordsmen is wavering. It probably will break quite soon. The Bohemian player is starting to lose this flank a little bit, though. One unit of Bohemian knights is holding back 3 units of infantry. Doesn't look like he has much more to throw into the front lines as well. You can see cavalry on both sides is engaged in the front lines here. Well done again by the Hungarian player. He's being really aggressive with his cavalry, and it's really playing into his advantage here, going after some of the Pavi's crossbowmen that were completely undefended. And also here, the Pavi's spearmen breaking the halberdiers. So well done there. I'm actually quite surprised, even not having them in spear wall, how well they did. 85 kills there. That is definitely a good number for a spear unit. Unfortunately here, though, the Hungarian knights did break, so it looks like the Pavi's crossbowmen were able to hold on. Let's go ahead and focus more on Denmark's fight, though. Okay, so this is a bit of a problem. So it looks like some of the Trier units are being isolated behind enemy lines here and surrounded by some of the Denmark infantry. They're really pushing hard in the center here as well, but again, looks like the Denmark units are winded and tired. And the Trier units are very tired and tired. But yeah, look at this. So Trier is using a lot of his resources to run down and finish off the Axbondir here on the battlefield. And meanwhile, while he's doing that, he's just filtering in, 1 or 2 or 3 units. He really needs to commit with his entire force here and pressure Denmark more aggressively, because it's just giving fire down onto the Knights of Trier here and all of the units that are wasting their time fighting the Axbondir. Apologies for that sound cutout there. I thought the game was going to crash there for a second. But very, very good. Let's put this on slow motion again. About half the battle is finished. And actually about half of the man count is gone as well. So the allies, the Bohemian and Denmark players, have 3,600 men left. Meanwhile, Trier and Hungary have 3,400. And oh no, so there goes the Hungarian general here, falling to the Bohemian general and also some macemen. And that's just going to cause real problems for the rest of the Hungarian troops that are still fighting. And look at this too. We've got some Elector Knights that did they break? No, that's a Hungarian unit. So I'm not sure what they're doing here. I think that the Trier player is very busy over on his flank fighting, and these Elector Knights are just going to be focused down by these Pavi's crossbowmen here. And actually charged by the Bohemian Knights as well. There they go. They have broken. So well done to the Bohemian player. He's held very well here. And now that the Hungarian general is dead, most of that army will probably rout from the battlefield. Let's go see. We're going to focus most of our time in the rest of the battle on Denmark here, because he definitely has his work cut out for him. It looks like we've got a solid line here now, with the Trier spearmen moving in to engage. Denmark sending in their high period Huskarls to hold the line. But this battlefield is just littered with bodies. You can see where the original line was, where the Axbondir kind of just got slaughtered by the Electorate troops. But I've never seen that where someone split their army into 2 like that, but then didn't support one side with the other. He almost wanted the Axbondir to just slow down the entire force so that he could either send aid to the Bohemian ally or just be able to fire down with his longbowmen. And we've got some more spears here flanking around. We've got some Elector sword infantry coming around as well. But these longbow bombardier, or sorry, just longbowmen, I'm surprised they haven't used up more of the ammo, but they are obstructed right now, so I'm hoping that he'll switch targets very soon, because right now these longbowmen are not firing because there's some friendlies in the way. Alright, back on to regular speed. But looks like this is kind of the main battle line.
I'm gonna throw down their weapons and are fleeing.
You can see the long swordsman in the back there for Denmark as well. They probably will be sent in very shortly. And just as I say that, there they go into battle, pushing forwards right into the front lines. And that's a really good way to use two-handed sword units like that, is supporting them in the front line with actual sword and shield melee infantry. But I think at this point, Bohemia is just kind of coming over to help out. Yep, that's exactly what he's doing. His army is pretty banged up, as you can see. He's got, I'd say, about 7 units of depleted infantry. He does have some crossbows with ammo left, which is good. And he also has 3 depleted units of cav plus his general, making 4. And that's just going to be a death sentence for these spears here. This battle line completely undefended. I don't think that Trier has any cav. He actually does have 1 unit over on this side, plus his general. But he's definitely outnumbered in cavalry now, which is a big problem. And yet the Bohemian player already getting some good side charges here on the Trier Pavese spearmen. And the general's bodyguard here, the Archbishop Elector, he sees that and he's going to try and get rid of this Bohemian cavalry if he wants to have any chance of winning this battle. But the balance of power is starting to tip over into the Allied favor. 2,400 men for the Allies, 1,900 men for the Electorate. But here we go. We've actually got a break from the Denmark soldiers, allowing some of the Elector troops to pour in here. But Denmark did have 2 units of noble longswords here ready to send in. And over here again, the unit of cavalry charging into the Elector sword infantry. However, the Elector sword infantry were able to hang on and break the Bohemian knights. 4 minutes left in the battle here. It still could be anybody's game. It really depends on if the Electorate's general dies. Pockets of fighting everywhere here on this battlefield. There's a bunch of front lines, but there's spaces in between, which can allow cavalry to get through and to flank around. But in this case, both sides have basically no cavalry now. I think there goes one of the last units of Bohemian Knights. So the Bohemian player does still have his general. The Archbishop looking quite depleted there with his general as well. Last time we looked at him, that was a full unit, so he has taken about half casualties. But yeah, now it's definitely going into Denmark and Bohemia's favor. The Electorate Pavesiers are fighting hard against the noble longswords. Looks like a couple of them are actually breaking as well. And you can see the Trier flag there with blood stains all over it. It's been a very bloody battle. And there we go. Looks like we've got some of these skilled spearmen here pushing forwards into melee. So Denmark at this point does have reserves to send in. And it looks like some longswords are actually flanking around the spearmen here. Although they actually... Oh, these are Huskarls. No, we've got some longswords behind there as well. They're actually wavering, though, interestingly enough. Is it from these crossbows? I bet you it's from these crossbows over here. But the battle is very close here, 1,600 to 1,000, so only a 600-man advantage. And it looks like the Trier units are starting to crack under the pressure now. Got some crossbows here, actually facing back-to-back. Firing down into these units of Huskarls here. not sure what they're doing. Actually, I think they're running down a unit that is already broken, but that is allowing the Trier crossbows to just fire down into these units. I'm hoping to see a volley or two here. Oh, maybe not. Are they going to get a volley off in time? No, it doesn't look like it. Hold, Trier, hold. Again, another cut there from the audio. That's kind of weird. Again, though, this is actually my first battle with the new build, so if you guys have noticed that as well, be sure to let me know down in the comments, because if it's something with my new mic, which I've been fiddling around with a lot lately, then I'll have to get that checked. But if it's something to do with 1212 itself, then I just won't worry about it. Oh, here we go, though. Let's go ahead and put this on slow motion, because we've got the Trier General against the Bohemian General. Remember, the Bohemian General has already killed the Hungarian king, so... And there's the Bohemian king, who just rode out of view. Trying to see where the Electorate General is. He hasn't broken yet, has he? Oh, yes, he has. Now, I'm not sure exactly where he is, because it doesn't say that he's dead yet.
The enemy refuses to. Their unit has rallied.
So we've got this guy riding away, so there's 3 left. Don't think that's him. It's not him. Is it this guy? Yeah, there he is. Okay, so it looks like he will escape from the battlefield with his life. But now it's basically just cleanup. We can actually just put this on fast or regular speed now. Yeah, it's basically just the cleanup phase now, so well done. I think a couple things that the Hungarian player did wrong, not that he was a bad player, he did the best in a situation that he was put in. You can see that this is a really massive hill, so I think that he felt like he needed to be aggressive, but I kind of disagree a bit. I would have just maybe deployed back a little further and used the defensive spears to my advantage. You know, they could fire at me all day long with those Pavi spearmen in stationary testudo. They would have wasted all of their ammo. But I think that the Hungarian player wanted to just level the playing field as far as the terrain goes. And Denmark as well, doing really good. Some unconventional tactics there, but I think it paid off for him. And we've just got a couple of these Trier Militia Swordsmen and the Trier Pavis Crossbowmen that are holding out to the bitter end. But we've got the Bohemian General here. And there we go. Pyrrhic victory. So let's take a look at the results here before we end the replay. So looking at Jean-Roch Cagné's army first. Well done with his spears, actually getting a ton of kills. So I'm wondering if in the new update, spears actually have better melee attack and melee damage. I'll have to check that out, because in the previous build, spears were more for holding, but if they got 30 to 40 kills, that was pretty decent for them. Unfortunately, the halberdiers didn't do too well. They probably were focused down by the crossbows. They've got really low missile block. Sergeants were a mixed bag, but the macemen paying off for him. Also, really nice with the Pavis crossbowmen, 331 and 301 there. And the Bohemian Knights doing really solid. Looking at Denmark, the cheaper spears not doing so well, but the skilled spearmen getting decent kills. The noble longswordsmen, 159 and 137, really solid. The Axbondier, you know, they held their own. Actually, 90 and 69 are pretty solid kills for a cheap unit like that. And then we've got the early period Huscarls and the high period Huscarls. Again, a mixed bag. And the longbowmen, a couple of them doing pretty decent. Looking at the Hungarian player, his cheaper spears didn't do too well. The Pavi spearmen of the late period should have done much better. They should have at least reflected these spearmen here, because I think they're of the same... They have the same stats, so it might have just come down to better positioning by the Bohemian spears. The early period swordsman not getting many kills. The high period swordsman, 140 and 123 is really good, but these late period swordsmen did not do well at all. That is a lot of wasted money. Pavi's crossbows 204, but again, not the same kills as the Bohemian crossbows. Again, though, that can just come down to better positioning as far as the Bohemians having, the hill advantage and that kind of stuff. But again, the Hungarian Knights, this one getting 140, but a couple of them breaking so quickly, 9 and 45. That's really too bad. And the Electorate of Trier, again, with the spears really well. With the spears, high kills there. 213, that is really good. And the Militia Trier Swordsmen are a mixed bag. A couple of them getting over 100 kills. Electorate Sword Militia, 102. The rest of them probably could have done better. The Elector Sword Infantry, not that high in the kill department, but the Trier Pavis Crossbowmen doing pretty solid. And the Cav doing not too bad. So thank you so much, Jean-Duroc, for sending me this replay. And maybe I will get back into 1212 shortly and get some sieges and battles for you guys. I know that the modders are working on balancing it, the multiplayer, a little bit better as far as the stats go, because some of the newer factions are quite overpowered and it doesn't really make for a balanced play. But it is still epic to get back into one of these battles. So again, thanks very much for sending it in, and thanks to all of you guys that are watching. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this in the future. And as always, I will see you in the next one.